has shaped a lasting legacy in the highly competitive fields of engineering and automobiles.
A lot of supply chain development locally in India, and over and above that, for getting approvals. TMAC has been one of the is one of the trusted supplier of motors. We introduced a virtual reality training center wherein the operators are go through many levels of training. Today it has become very mandatory that certain environmental regulations have to be followed.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I am Rajesh Joshi, and in today's session, we have the honor of speaking with a respected expert with 37 years of experience, whose deep expertise has shaped a lasting legacy in the highly competitive fields of engineering and automobiles. When it comes to his wealth of expertise, strategic planning, P&L accountability, and lean manufacturing are just a few of them. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. K V Subbarao to the podcast. Mr. Subbarao, we welcome you and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh, for a welcoming introduction. And I would also like to personally thank the Directors Institute for providing a platform on this FTWM.
Sure, sir. The pleasure is all ours. To start this discussion, sir, throughout your remarkable 37-year career, you've navigated and excelled in numerous high-stake roles. Reflecting on this remarkable journey, could you share which project you're most proud of and why it stands out to you?
It's been a long journey of 37 years, Mr. Rajesh,
Yes.
and there have been many projects wherein I was involved with. Be it a transition of operations from conventional methods to modern methods, or capacity expansion using lean manufacturing techniques, or cost reduction by improvements in design and methods. But the one which would be always be very close to my heart is the one with TMAC, which is the last company I worked with. That was a totally a greenfield project.
Okay.
And I, being coming from an automobile sector, I was hired as the operations head to coordinate along with the Japanese team for setting up a world-class manufacturing plant in Tumkur.
Okay.
And this meant it covered many facets of business operations, like time-bound factory construction following the Japanese methodologies. And second is organizational development, and also the technology transfer from TMAC Japan to India, and new product development, which also meant a lot of supply chain development locally in India. And over and above that, for getting approvals, the product approvals from the technology team in Japan, and finally getting the customer's approval for being a trusted supplier of high voltage induction motors.
Okay.
And nevertheless, it was very important for us to train our people on this technology transfer, and which was executed in a very meticulous manner. And today, if you see, TMAC has been one of the is one of the trusted supplier of motors, and with a customer base in India as well as overseas, covering all the continents. What I enjoyed the most was that there was one challenge which the team experienced, not being exposed to Japanese way of working, not being exposed to Japanese methods. And I was very fortunate to have had a good amount of experience with Japanese in my earlier companies. And my role was to be a good facilitator between the Japanese team and the Indian team, and that really worked out well.
Great, sir. Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing such an inspiring example. And the best part is not just by talk, but I believe you have demonstrated your expertise in the functional area and your leadership qualities also by taking your team along with you, working with Japanese people, and you led them from the front, sir. That's a great example, and that's a great point actually to take this conversation forward, sir. Right, sir. So moving on, you embarked on your professional journey in the late 1980s, a time when technology was still nascent, if I may say so, developing compared to today's advancements. How, in your experience, has the evolution of technology and automation influenced productivity and quality?
Technology is very close to my heart. Two things. I've been a hands-on engineer right from the day I passed out my engineering.
Uh-huh.
And also I've been a technology leader in most of the years spent in the automobile companies.
Okay.
I've seen a transition of operations, as I mentioned in the before, uh, from conventional methods to modern methods.
Mhm.
And thanks to the reforms in the 1990s, which actually opened the market to the India encouraged foreign direct investment, and we had many world-class manufacturers, not only in the automobile sector, but in
Right.
other engineering sectors. This meant to be competitive across the globe, and this meant we Indian manufacturers had to really cope up with productivity as well as quality. And there was
Absolutely.
no choice but to adapt to technology. And that is where a big transition happened from conventional processes to modern methods, not only in manufacturing, in also in designing. We had tools like computer-aided designing, which
Mhm.
earlier was being used in a very mechanical way using a drafter and a drawing board. And
Right.
I remember the days of blueprint uh, copies for the to
Yeah.
refer to the drawings. The computer designing, computer-aided designing, computer-aided machining, and then came the computer numerical control machines, and which made a big impact on productivity as well as quality. It did not stop with the computer numerical control machines.
Right.
Entire technology had an influence of the Japanese manufacturers.
Mhm.
So the companies in India had to become leaner in terms of lean manufacturing methods, and a lot of cellular manufacturing concepts came in, wherein a lot of small technology improvements had to be done on the existing uh, machines or processes.
Right.
But I have also seen a lot of robotics. If you in automobile sector, welding is a very tedious process.
Mhm.
Today, you see most of these intricate processes where which was earlier done by human beings, leading to a lot of errors, is replaced with robotics. And why
Right.
by robotics? Because it consistently, day in and out, day out, the processes can be done without any defects. So definitely the technology has brought in a huge impact on productivity and quality. I would say almost 4 to 5 fold improvements in both productivity and quality. And importantly, the technology has ensured that the product performance variability is very low,
Mhm.
negligible, because
Right.
of high repeatability and reproducibility. So, and the future looks much great actually. And now you see, we are talking about 3D printing to reduce the product development. And we are also seeing a lot of applications for virtual reality and augmented reality. I
Right.
think it is not artificial intelligence also is going to play a bigger role in the coming days, making manufacturing more predictable, more competitive as well.
It is truly enlightening to hear how technological evolution has influenced your work, Mr. Subbarao, and I appreciate you sharing these insights. Could you reflect on a project that didn't go as planned and share the invaluable lessons you learned? Lessons you believe would be crucial for others in your field to apply in their own journeys?
Yeah, absolutely. I always believed in experiential learning, even though it
Right.
is, even if it's a failure. I always believe that success never comes without failures. There have been few failures. I wouldn't say a complete breakdown of the system, but
Mm-hmm.
something which did not happen as per the plan.
Right.
Uh, Maybe this I would refer to the previous company where we had very customized products, wherein the product range was from a smaller product to a very large product.
Mm-hmm.
And with the same manpower, the manufacturing had to happen. And
Okay.
though being a Japanese company, and at this time I have um, uh, installation of the equipment and the processes, we ensured a lot of safety guidelines. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the safety guidelines were not sufficient enough, due to which we did not have any mishaps as such, but many near misses. Because I believe that safety is not only a compliance need, but also it has a big impact on the top line as well as the bottom line of a company. So, but it was a quick learning for us. Then we reviewed the internal processes, saying that yes, the material handling standards are
Mm-hmm.
not adequate enough for the operator to carry out his work in a very easy manner. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I would say more to do with ergonomics, I would say, ergonomics for the at the workplace.
Right.
So we did not say, there were some delays, and particularly the impact came during COVID times, wherein the communication became difficult between the people due to the aids or due to the protective equipment what they had to wear during COVID. Then we
Right.
realized that we need to simplify our processes and develop safe tools to carry the parts. And that is where the cross-functional team was formed. And on an aggressive approach, people identified process-wise what the input process-wise and operation-wise, what improvements have to be done in an engineering way. Secondly, our training of people on using the safety appliances like cranes, forklifts, or any other tackles which are required to lift the material. The training was in a very conventional way. To make
Mm-hmm.
it more effective, we introduced a virtual reality training center wherein the operators are go through many levels of training, and finally they give an examination in the system, and they get certified after a practical examination. This
Okay.
actually improved the confidence of the people and also in the workplace. Though I feel it is on my personal front as a personal responsibility, this implementation took a much longer time. So I
Mm-hmm.
always consider it as a failure, but it also opened up many new avenues and how to use technology in safety in a factory. Thank you, Mr. Rajesh.
Right, sir. So in a dynamic and competitive industry, scaling production presents a significant challenge. I mean, we all know that, as expanding a manufacturing operation involves overcoming numerous obstacles. Which brings me to my next question, actually. With your extensive experience, could you walk us through your approach to increasing capacity while maintaining the highest standards of quality? This is a catch 22, I believe. You know, you have to increase your production also, and at the same time maintain the quality also.
Yes, Mr. Rajesh, being a manufacturing engineer myself,
Uh-huh.
I've been in capacity expansion projects. I would like to brief you about two scenarios,
Yes, please.
how the capacity expansion happens in a automobile company or had happened when I was in that so-called company. And in another area where in an engineering industry. Now, you're aware that in most of the automobile companies, the product designs are more or less standardized,
Right.
more or less standardized. And today, I mean, not only today, maybe even 15 years back, the cellular manufacturing concepts came in. And these are flexible manufacturing concepts
Right.
which have been introduced. Gone were the days where process layouts were there. It has been replaced with product layouts. So when you have a product layout, you need to have a cellular manufacturing layouts. Now, in a typically, in my experience, what I've really worked with and achieved, There are three approaches I always believed in capacity expansion. Uh, Assuming that there is no change in quality or quality will improve. The first and foremost for any seasonal demands in capacity expansion, uh, which are required to be attended very immediately. So we used to follow a capacity expansion with zero investment. Now, the only investment is your brain. I mean, you need to work as a team to find out opportunities. And the best way is to do value stream mapping of all the processes, identify non-value added activities, value added activities, and necessary value added activities.
Right.
And once a team is formed, you know the non-value added activities have to be improved. And there are n number of opportunities in terms of reduction of losses. I was very fortunate to be in Bajaj Auto for 20 years, wherein I learned a lot of TPM concepts, So our always focus used to be reduce the losses using TPM methodologies. There is no investment. The only investment is your time and efforts, and maybe more of engineering concepts. And I've seen almost 12 to 15% improvement in the capacities with this approach. Now, the second approach is capacity investment with capacity expansion with minimal investment.
Okay.
I already mentioned that earlier it was a seller's market. Today it is a buyer's market. I mean, of course, the transition took place maybe 15 years back.
Right.
So multi-model scenario came in because of the customer's preferences.
Right.
So as the demand comes, the manufacturing has to cater to those demands. So you need to have flexible manufacturing sales. So if there are product variants and one of the product variant has got higher demand, that means your changeover times also have to come down. And that's where your Japanese concepts of single minute exchange of die gets implemented. You need is certain tools and certain fixturing to enhance the capacities, That is, I call it as capacity expansion with minimal investment. And when you are in a existing capacity, if there is a big demand, I mean, let's say more than 50% of your capacity, I think that is the ideal time to invest in equipment. That I would call it as capacity expansion with investment.
Right.
Quality in capacity expansion cannot be compromised. Definitely not. So in both in a mass production scenario, we need to have all the POCA-UKs, that is mistake proofing devices, where there is no chance of errors happening. POCA-UK is like prevention of error getting generated. Whereas in customized products, lot of emphasis is given on the forum conditions, that is man, machine, material, and methods.
Right.
And quality standards to be defined in a simplified manner and easy to maintain the quality standards. But I would always say quality should be part of the process. That means the process standards have to be such that there is no chance of generating a defect. So I always seen this kind of approach in both an Indian company as well as in the Japanese company. That's all.
Great, great. This approach towards maintaining quality while scaling production, I'm 100% sure will surely prove fruitful to people watching this podcast, Mr. Subbarao. And thank you for outlining such practical strategies. Is especially what I really like. And there could be also lean periods where you also need to look at what do you do with your machines and so on and so forth. Scaling up is one thing, and maintaining is another thing. And then getting onto greenfield projects, that's another thing, which I believe can help organizations break free from existing systems and infrastructure constraints. I'm sure you would agree with this, Mr. Subbarao.
Sure, definitely.
So, how do you identify and prioritize the critical success factors during the pre-study evaluation of greenfield projects, ensuring the strategic alignment and feasibility from inception to execution?
Yes, Greenfield project is planned for basically market expansion,
Right.
Where demand is more than capacity. Now, this gives a big opportunity for all the planners, the project planners and including the team members, what do we do in the uh, pre-evaluation stage of a green project? That is, prior to the project, what kind of study one must do so that when the green project is executed, we have achieved most of the goals or it is better than before. I would say that. So I would like to give an example in when I was in Sandvik, Hyderabad, wherein we did this mm, pre-evaluation study for the green project. And in those days, there was a plan to set up a big new facility. But unfortunately, mining business went down in 2012, and wherein we had to stop the expansion. But I believe that in 2022, they built a plant in plant using the concepts what was discussed in 2012 at the same place. So
Okay.
what did we do along with the Swedish team at that time and along with the India team? Uh, we have existing processes, existing machines, and existing bottlenecks, existing quality issues. So we do not want them to be in a greenfield project, definitely not.
Right, right.
And so what we did actually, my favorite approach is to do the value stream mapping of the current processes. And believe me, I think it took more than 2 months to do again and again, again and again, and
Okay.
always discussing with the team. And we had a very good guidance from the Swedish team, who were also a part of the project. And now what has happened in that, when we did, we felt there was enough number of opportunities for improvement in the current processes, in the current layout, in the current production rates as well. So we listed up all those improvement opportunities. I would say in some language, I would say punch points for improvement.
Right.
Or key points for
Key point.
kaizens, I would say. Kaizen
Yes.
points, I would say.
Right.
That is my favorite word.
Right.
And we listed up, I think, more than, I don't remember exactly, but more than 1,000 points came up.
My goodness me.
So when we said what is the current state of mapping, and based on discussions, we came out what improvements we propose, and we also made a future state of mapping.
Okay.
So when we did the both, we could see that we can do a much better job than what we are doing today. And that is the whole purpose of setting the Greenfield project, because the
Right.
investors are putting their money, and investors are the key stakeholders for every business organization.
Right.
And the success story is actually in identifying the improvement opportunities and thrashing it out and coming out with a workable solution. And I think that really worked out. And this is actually, I have experienced in the company of Sandvik. Similarly, when we were setting up the project in TMAC, that was in 2015, we had a similar approach, but we had no reference plant in India, but our reference plants were in Japan. So
Okay.
we also tried to, as a team, we also try to improve the deficiencies in the Japanese plant so that this plant becomes a world-class plant. And
Okay.
success happens, listing up the opportunities, making a detailed action plans, reviewing the progress by constant monitoring, and not giving up attitude, because we can, I mean, once you are convinced it can give a lot of benefits, even though there is some delays, we should not give up on those kind of parameters, which will actually boost one's growth in the business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fascinating to hear how you identify and prioritize success factors from the very inception of a project. Thank you so much for sharing such useful information, sir. Considering your success in driving capacity expansions and operational transformations, how do you plan to apply corporate governance practices to ensure sustainable growth and accountability in a board role?
Yeah, yes, Ramesh. I mean, this is quite relevant. I would like to mention here that I was also a board member in the TMAC company, TMAC India.
Okay.
But I was a board member more out of competence, more out of stature than competence.
Okay.
This is where I chose to join the certification course with Director Institute, and it has really widened my own knowledge base on corporate governance and what can be my role in the board in the near future. But definitely, every organization has definitely they definitely follow the corporate governance.
Right.
The most important thing I felt when you are in a when you are working with a multinational company, when the investors are miles away from the location, it is important to be very transparent. The transparency is very key, and high integrity and ethics. And we had to develop code of conduct. But the simple reason is that we were setting up a new plant and people were coming from different backgrounds. So to bring alignment, code of conduct was also very important for us. And naturally, any business is not for charity. Let us be very clear about it. And,
Absolutely.
business is to make profits, but following the compliance and ethics. It also means that people follow correct processes, correct methods, correct regulations and laws to see that the investors' confidence is always very high and there is no loss of reputation in the market. So financials have to be maintained as per the Indian standards, Indian accounting standards. And definitely we had the concept of audit committees for the financials. And also for the factory side, we used to have audit committees for the inventories. I mean, which was
Right.
inventory has a direct impact on the financials, particularly on the bottom line. And I also believe that we had a responsibility towards environment because being a manufacturer, we need to protect our environment, and related to those, a lot of laws were implemented. And today it has become very mandatory that certain environmental regulations have to be followed whenever we have one sets up a greenfield project. But however, I had this experience out of stature and following because experience also teaches, experience is a
Right.
learning. But I always felt that there is a need for me to get into a complete awareness on not only on corporate governance and not only on CSR, but on the board members' role, what is the role of an independent director. So that's how, I mean, actually, I was interested to join the independent directors program, and I was very happy to join and complete my course. And I think this will help me to, given an opportunity, if I get an opportunity, and I'm definitely sure I can make a big I can play a big role in ensuring corporate governance in one's organization.
Absolutely, sir. And so are we looking at your credentials, looking at your experience, and the best part is looking at all those great qualities that you're actually putting out for all our viewers, all our young viewers who are actually watching this with awe and inspiration as we speak. Because and unfortunately, moving on to the last question of this discussion. As you work towards your goal of joining a board of directors, it's essential to have a solid understanding of corporate governance. How do you feel the Directors Institute is enhancing your expertise and preparing you for this role?
I took a lot of time to choose the certification program, and I never wanted to just be a certification program. I wanted to learn certain things. And though the curriculum provided by Directors Institute is quite rigorous in terms of detailed, there are a lot of detailed contents and every section, I think, uh, which actually helped me to learn many things. And the best part I would say is that lot of recorded sessions by the
Mhm.
industry experts are added to the curriculum.
Okay.
which though in my opinion are not mandatory to complete the course, but my personal choice was to go through all the sessions, and it was fantabulous experience listening to some of the industry speakers on various topics, including corporate social responsibility, corporate governance, and working of the committees, and what kind of a role a board member has to play, what are his responsibilities, obligations, and it was fantastic, I would say. And in fact, I would like to say that I have taken up the next course from the Directors Institute, that is on ESG, and
Okay.
ESG is very close to my heart, and I'm eagerly looking forward to complete that course as well.
Great, sir. Great. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. And I deeply appreciate the enlightening conversation we've had and your thoughtful responses throughout, Mr. Subbarao. We at Directors Institute wish you all the very best. It's very apparent that your expertise and commitment will undoubtedly guide you to even greater achievements.
Thank
Really, thank
you.
you for being with us, and we all appreciate your contribution to the engineering society at large, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh, for making it very wonderful.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We look forward to sharing more inspiring stories and insights from remarkable leaders in our next session. Until then, keep upskilling and finding joy in your journey. This is Rajesh Joshi signing off. Thank you.